All I can say is that the fake news just doesn't get it, do they? And the fake news, the mainstream media, let's face it, they're biased. They're prejudiced against white men. Oh boy, responsible for all kinds of evil, right? To the exclusion, basically, of every other race, creed, you name it, white men are the worst.
Most of these shooters are young white men.
That's the root of a lot of this. It's white privilege, it's white nationalism, it's anger, it's rage, it's incels, it's all these different kinds of things, which is one of the reasons why background checks and other things aren't really working, because many of these angry white men, these modern-day M&Ms, are basically ticking time bombs.
This is about a trained, cohesive ideology of hatred and violence, whether it is explicit white supremacy.
Yeah, that white supremacy, all of it. Hey, let's face it, when it comes to shootings, mass shootings, yeah, we got a lot of white gunmen out there. If you want to focus on them, you can, although if you want to be objective, you can also take a look at the non-white mass shooters, okay? Plenty of those. You can look through this through a phony racial lens, or you can actually address reality. AOC, of course, wants to look through it through a phony racial lens because she's not a serious person. Although, unfortunately, we have to take her seriously. Take a look. Yes, she flails about wildly, but she is a force to be reckoned with. 13 million followers on Twitter, 8.5 million followers on Instagram. Now, that may not mean much to you and me, but in Congress these days, that is a big deal. All of them, they just want to be influencers. Let's see, what else does she have? Time Magazine, Person of the Year. And believe it or not, she's going to be old enough to be president in 2024. And there are some very serious people in the Democratic Party who believe, yes, she will be a major contender for president of the United States. So we're going to have to deal with this person and, I don't know, try to, defeat her because her ideas are crazy. All right? White men are evil, and LGBTQ people, never, ever would they do anything wrong.
We have the radicalization of young men. This is an issue. Young women are not doing this. Young non-binary people are not doing this. Trans people are not doing this. This is an issue that we have.
Trans people, non-binary people, they're doing all this stuff, actually. I mean, just like, not to cast aspersions against anybody in general, but there have been transgenders like Christian Jeffers, who attacked a man recently on a New York subway with a hammer. We also have a transgender serial killer. Yes, serial killer. Killed at least 3 people, allegedly a third. Transgender woman has spent 50 years in prison, recently paroled, and reportedly or allegedly killed somebody else. In 2019, a transgender man in Denver. A school shooting. 1 killed, 8 injured. Donna Perry, transgender woman, serial killer of 3 people. We can go on and on, some really famous ones. Eileen Vornos, this was a big case back in the 90s, serial killer of 6 people, happened to be a lesbian. This was a famous one in 1987, lesbian couple, serial killer of 5 people. And just this week, this individual, who we believe is transitioning from one sex to another, we're not sure exactly, terrorized people on the train, and look what this individual did to an innocent passenger, to her hair. See that? Grabbing her hair, making her sit down. Now he's going to start kicking that window. Just your ordinary commute in New York City. AOC, sorry, these are not all angry white men. They look like all kinds of people, even young girls who might be lesbian. Have you ever heard of this song? So this is by the Boomtown Rats. I Don't Like Mondays. Well, they got that from Brenda Spencer. Back in 1979, she opened fire at an elementary school. She lived right across the street, took a rifle through her living room window, shot it up. And she's in prison now. She was recently up for parole, denied parole. That's where the name of the song came from. They asked her, why did you do this? And she said, I don't like Mondays. She happens to be on that LGBTQ spectrum that AOC thinks is so important. And maybe most famously of all, have you ever seen Dog Day Afternoon? Great movie, great movie. So the backstory here, and if you watch the movie, it's based on a true story. Al Pacino is playing a guy named John Vodovich, who happened to be gay. He robbed the bank, get this, to get enough money for his wife, who was a man, to get a sex change operation. So AOC, when you say, what did she say again about LGBTQ?
Young women are not doing this. Young non-binary people are not doing this. Trans people are not doing this. This is an issue that we have.
You got issues. People are people. It doesn't really matter the gender. It doesn't matter that I'm a white man, straight, all that stuff. You want to hold it against us, you shouldn't. You really should take people individually. And not everything trans, not everything drag is good. A lot of us don't think this should be around children. Now, in New York City, there is a program where drag queens read to children. I thought I was hallucinating, but this is a real thing. Here's the story, as they say on their website. What we do, Drag Story Hour NYC produces storytelling and creative arts programs for children and teens presented by local drag artists in libraries, schools, and other community spaces. This is for kids, by the way. Yes, designed for children ages 3 to 8, local drag performers trained by children's librarians read picture books and touch on themes of diversity and difference. Numerous programs offered, Drag Story Hour for neurodiverse kids of all ages, and then there's a makeup tutorial. And, oh, by the way, made possible in part with public funds from the New York State Council on the Arts and with the support of the Office of the Governor and the New York State Legislature. Well, I'm going to make this a personal crusade. I think I can be effective in calling attention, at least in New York, to this hideous program. This should not be funded, and I just might call the police about it as well.